Hey everyone, and welcome to my research publication series. This is where I take all that dense academic research, the stuff usually locked away in journals, and break it down into a story that we can all get into. So today, we're going to unpack some of my research on a figure who has honestly fascinated me for years. We're talking about Sassui, one of the most powerful heroines in all of Sindhi literature, brought to life by the legendary poet Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai. And right away, this gets us to the big question that really drove all my research. For centuries, right, the story of Sassui has been framed as this tragic romance. But what if it's something more? What if it's actually this incredibly radical story of a woman defying a world built by men? Well, my research argues that, it's exactly that. Sassui isn't just some victim of a sad love story. No way! She is an absolute icon of love, of courage, and of feminist resistance. And her story still resonates with women in Pakistan and really all over the world today. Okay, so to really get a grip on just how revolutionary Sassui's story is, we've got to take a step back. We need to understand the world of the man who created her. So Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai, he was living in a really chaotic time in Sindh's history. We're talking major political turmoil, social upheaval all over the place. And you know what? Instead of cozying up to the powerful, he did the opposite. His poetry became this powerful voice for the people who were being pushed down, the ones without a voice. And here's the thing, Sassui wasn't some one-off character. She's actually one of the 7 queens of Sindh. This was a whole group of amazing heroines that Latif put front and center in his work again and again. So this wasn't an accident, it was a pattern. He was all about celebrating the courage and strength of women. And that's exactly why so many people, myself included, call him a feminist poet. Think about it. This was centuries ago. He was so ahead of his time. He didn't just tell folktales. He totally elevated the female experience, basically giving these women a royal status and turning their personal struggles into something universal that we can all understand.
All right, so how does all this feminist vision actually show up in Sassui's story? Let's get into the legend itself.
On the surface, the story seems pretty straightforward. Sassui falls head over heels in love with a guy named Punhun. But his brothers, they do not approve. So they betray them. They drug Punhun and just drag him away in the middle of the night. Now, in your typical story from that era, this is where the woman would just, stay home, cry, and accept her fate. But Sassui? Absolutely not. She wakes up, realizes what's happened, and immediately sets off on this incredible solo journey across deserts and mountains to find him. She completely refuses to just sit back and be a victim. Okay, so you might be wondering, how do we jump from an old folktale to a modern feminist analysis? Well, it's all about the lens you use, the perspective you take when you read it. And for my research, I used a very specific framework to kind of unlock this deeper meaning. It's called an interpretivist paradigm. That sounds complicated, but it's really not. All it means is that we're looking at reality, and especially women's experiences, as something that's shaped by society. It's not just one single fixed truth. This approach lets us go back to these old stories and ask totally new questions and find meanings that maybe, just maybe, were missed before. And this is where you can really see the difference it makes. The traditional way of reading her story, it's all about her tragedy and her loyalty to a man. But a feminist reading, the one that I argue for, sees something completely different. It sees a woman taking control, claiming her own agency. She's not just passively following a guy, she's actively chasing her own desire, and in doing so, challenging every single rule about what a woman was supposed to do. So what did this new lens actually reveal? When I really dug into the themes in Latif's poetry, some really powerful findings about Sassui's defiance started to pop out. Listen to Latif's own words. He's not painting her as some helpless victim. The poem itself is like a call to action. He's literally telling her, and us, the readers, to be fearless, to get up and do something, to face those mountains head on. And my analysis found these qualities woven through all 11 chapters dedicated to her story. It's not just about simple love or loyalty. It's about how that love becomes the fuel for her defiance. It's how her courage is the very thing that lets her shatter social norms. That complexity, that's what makes her so incredibly revolutionary. And this is so important to understand. Her journey isn't just about walking across a desert. It's symbolic. By leaving her home, which was pretty much the only acceptable place for a woman back then, and by totally ignoring all the societal criticism, all the gossip. She's tearing down huge social and psychological walls. She's flat out refusing to be boxed in by anyone's expectations. And get this, she does it all by herself. The poem makes it pretty clear that Punhun is, well, kind of indifferent, maybe even selfish. So her quest isn't really for a guy who's desperately waiting for her. It's for her desire, and it's driven by her power. That makes the entire journey hers and hers alone.
Okay, so what's the bottom line here? Why should we care about an 18th century poem today, in the 21st century?
Well, first, on an academic level, this research helps fill a really big gap. See, most studies of Shah Latif look at him through a political or a mystical lens. But by putting the feminist perspective right at the forefront, we get a whole new, super important way to understand his incredible work. But here's where it gets real. This is where her legacy just comes alive. In a world where women still face so many barriers, Sassui's story stops being just history. It becomes a kind of blueprint for resistance. It's a powerful reminder that the desire to fight back isn't new. It has deep, deep cultural roots. And it's a call to action to keep pushing against those limits. And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. Sassui isn't just some character in an old poem, right? She becomes this timeless feminist icon. Her story proves that these classic texts aren't just dusty old relics. They can be powerful tools for thinking about feminism today. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How can these ancient stories of defiance help fuel our own modern movements for change? Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive. If you're into this kind of research on gender and literature in South Asia, definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks again for watching.